Greetings all, welcome to the Avana Arcana, where I provide intuitive messages to help you water the garden of your life and blossom into the best you. And this reading in particular is a continuation of another reading that I just did. That reading was titled, I actually don't know what the title of that reading is going to be at the moment, but the cover of it is like a woman in a field of pink flowers. So I just posted that reading. And in that reading, I realized that reading had two separate messages. And so the first message took a bit of time. So I just made that one reading and I made this the continuation of that reading for the second group. And so the second group is pertaining to a group of spiritual creatives, and it was a completely separate message. So we're going to dive into that today. This reading is a general reading for the Divine Feminine Collective. I usually post pick-a-card readings, but I want to begin to post at least one general reading a month. And so that's what this is. And these readings will be a little bit longer than my typical pick-a-card readings. I will be going more into depth in these readings. Sometimes I may read from the guidebook. I don't typically do that in my pick-a-card readings. And I want to just take my time and really dive deep into the messages that I receive within these general readings. So if you are feeling maybe a little bit rushed, or you don't really feel like listening to a long drawn-out reading or hearing me ramble or anything like that, this may not be the time to listen. You may want to come back and listen at a time when you feel a little bit more relaxed and ready to receive the messages. So let's go ahead and get started. Let me just turn my sound off. At the time of this reading, it is very early in the morning, so just bear with me. So the cards that are laid out here, as you can see, I did go ahead and shuffle and pull the cards. And obviously, again, these cards are from the last reading. And so I'm keeping the same spread, and I'm just going to go over what I see in terms of the group of creatives. So let me show you what has come out. So first we got the balance card, and I'm just going to read what it says to you. It says, for you to fulfill your potential, to become all that you can be in every moment, you must be in balance. Otherwise, you are resisting life and creating tension. This resistance and tension are needed to a certain extent for anything to expand, grow, and become more. Learn to recognize the resistance rather than letting it run you. Anything you don't like, sense it, or feel into it, and the next logical action step will present itself. This step will move you in the direction of your potential, your dreams, and desires. Take a deep, gentle breath and thank whatever has moved you out of balance. Say to yourself, thank you. Thank you for showing me what I really don't want and reminding me to come back to my balanced place where I will be inspired to create what I do want. I am willing to experience all things, for in doing so, I become clearer with my highest loving path. Namaste. And you also got the Family of Light card here, and this is card number 17. In the first group, I was telling them that when I saw the number 17, it just reminded me of the star card in the tarot, and I had got a feeling that this had something to do with healing some kind of family wound or wound of belonging. And you got the Service as Co-Creation card. It's card number 9, and it says, my service, no matter how great or small, is a conscious act of co-creation with the world. And then from my little flower deck that I have, these are just like little positive messages, and they come along with specific flowers. This one is the honeysuckle, and it says domestic happiness and devoted affection. And the message underneath says, I will wind thee in my arms, so doth the woodbine, the honeysuckle gently entwist. And that quote is by William Shakespeare. And a second one fell out with it, and this is the trumpet gentian. And it says power and healing. And the message underneath says, to get what you love, you first have to be patient with what you have. And the author is unknown. You also got the Step Out of Your Comfort Zone in the Moon Oracle deck, and it is with the North Node. This is the Page of Wands here. This is the Five of Swords, the Seven of Wands, the King of Swords, the Sun card, and then a second card also fell out with the step out of your comfort zone, and it says a win outcome is forecast, and it's full moon in Libra. This card also came out. I had shuffled at the end of the other group's reading, and this is the card that came out. It says Oshun of the Ancestors. It is card number 6, and it says sacred lineage, belonging, and family, which moves right in line with this card here. So that's what came out. And I decided to keep this card for you guys as well because it still ties in. But I will at the end pick a fresh card for you guys. And you also got from the Ancestor deck the Shaman, Trust the Path. This is the same as the Hierophant card. And you got the Martyr, Sacrifice and Self-Reflection. And this is the Hanged Man. Let's see. At the bottom of the moon deck, you had the Balsamic Moon, A Time for Healing. And you got the Knight of Swords. And you've got the Creature of Earth from this deck at the bottom of the deck. And it says Take Charge. This is the same as the Knight of Pentacles. All right. So let's get into it. So this group, like I said, I was feeling strongly that it had something to do with a group of creatives. And there's some different groups of creatives within this particular group. So for some, I'm getting the feeling that many of you are feeling like you will be persecuted for your views on certain things, the work that you want to share. Well, first of all, at the base of this, I feel like there are many of you who are spiritual creatives and you want to share, you want to contribute, and you know that your work can offer something of value. But I feel like there may be some of you who are still continuing to hide in the background, hide in the shadows, make excuses for yourself as to why you can't start yet or why you can't move forward. I also feel like, again, some of you may feel like your message may not be received well. You may have a little fear around being judged or even being rejected, or your message being rejected. From what I see here, I feel like some of you may be feeling like maybe some of you have tried and you feel like your work is not going anywhere, and you feel like you can't find your people who, like your audience or your target customers or your target audience or anything like that, your group, your family of light. So I feel like some of you may feel like a bit of an outcast, or because when you put your work out there, you're not getting the response that you want. You feel like I think you start to question whether your work holds any value, whether it's wanted. I feel like this can also make you feel a little misunderstood. Or maybe I'm not getting the response that I want because people don't understand me, or people are not feeling this, not feeling what you have to offer, not feeling what you create. So a few things. I feel like in order for things to shift and change, in order for you to have a breakthrough, for some of you, there's something that you may need to tweak, either in terms of your delivery, how you present yourself, how you package it. And this can be anything from products that you offer, art that you create, content that you make. For some of you, there may be something that you need to tweak. And some of you, the tweaking may not necessarily have to be with what you create itself, but more so within you. I think there may be room to possibly have a different perspective on something, see the bigger picture with something, and then from there, something will click. So for some of you, you may be too focused on people wanting it, or being too focused on the result, or being too focused on the response. You're sharing or putting something out there and immediately focused on how it's received, or whether people love it or not, or like it or not, or whether they accept it or not. And you have to take a step back and see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, remember, we have the Martyr card here, the Hanged Man. You have to remember why you're doing what you're doing. Is it because you want some type of self-satisfaction in the terms of people liking it, people accepting it? Or did you first want to start it to help people? So for some of you, it's kind of that energy of watching a pot of water boil. You put the pot on the fire and then you sit there and wait to see bubbles. Go do something else. Or pull back. Once you put it out there, maybe get moving on to the next thing. So the feeling that I have is when you plant a seed in a garden, right? In the soil. When you plant the seed, do you stand there over the soil and wait to see the sprouts? No. You plant the seed, you water it, and you move on. And you come back occasionally to fertilize, nourish it, nurture it. But you have faith that there will be a season when the sprouts shoot up. It's timing. You got to cut the soil and everything and the sunlight and the rain and all of that. It's working underneath. You don't see it, but things are working underneath the soil. So it's the same thing for your creative work. Things are working behind the scenes, and you don't know who's seeing your work. Just because you're not getting certain feedback doesn't mean that things aren't moving and shifting behind the scenes. This is making me think of, I don't know why I just got this thought, but I remember when I was younger seeing an episode of, there was this show called The Bernstein Bears, and there was one episode where the daughter in her class, they all had to plant something. And I don't know if you remember doing this when you were little, but remember when they would give you those little plastic cups and they would fill it with soil, and you would get a seed and you would plant it, and then you would leave it in the windowsill in the classroom, and you come back and water it each day, and then after a while you would see the sprout come up. And you felt so good as a little kid. Hey, I planted that. Look, it's growing. But in this episode of the Bernstein Bears, everyone else's plant started to sprout but hers. And I think all this time was going by and nothing was happening with the seed that she planted. And come to find out, everyone else planted flowers, but her seed was a seed that was growing a tree. And that's why she wasn't seeing immediate results. And that's the feeling that I'm getting with you. Don't think that your work doesn't have value because you're not seeing immediate results. Don't think that no one wants it. Don't think that you failed. You haven't. You got to keep going. You got to keep nurturing. You got to keep coming back. You got to keep producing, keep putting out your work. And I also want you to think of it in this term. You're doing it for the people to receive value. I know it's tempting to soothe your own ego with people coming back and saying, oh my God, this is so good. This is so amazing. I love this. Or you're getting all these sales and all these. But sometimes, for some of us, it takes a little time. One thing I notice is that people who go viral die off quickly. Have you ever noticed that? People who pop off really quick, a lot of times, not all the times, there's exceptions to the rules, but a lot of times people who go viral or things that go viral die just as quickly as it went viral. And then you never hear any talk about this thing again. It's like for the moment type of thing. And so maybe going viral or popping off quickly isn't as great as most people think it will be. Because think about it too. If you were to just suddenly pop off or go viral or just take off, are you equipped to handle that right now? Do you have things backlogged or batched where you can keep feeding that machine of all these people who rush to your, do you have enough to feed them? And then there's this level of pressure because now you're feeling like now everything that you create after that has to be on the same level of intensity where it goes viral and pops out. And that's usually not the case. So there's a blessing in things taking a bit of time because there's room there for you to get your footing. There's room there for you to change things that you need to change. There's room there for you to rearrange things and really take your time with things. You might be planting a tree for this group and not a flower that blooms quickly. You might be planting a tree and think about the tree. A tree is something once it sprouts and it reaches maturity, it bears so much fruit and it lasts so much longer than the thing or than the flower that came up quickly and showed all its beauty. Both have value, but the tree is of a different caliber here. So maybe you're planting a tree for this group. So just try to take what you want to receive out of it, just for the time being. Just take what you want out of it and focus on your offering. All right, give me a second. So I feel like this is causing some of you to feel like, well, maybe no one wants this, maybe it's not. Another thing you have to take into consideration too is that the masses usually go along with the crowd. So if you're new, a lot of times people don't want to latch on to anything that doesn't look popular. So let's say, for instance, you have a YouTube channel or you're on a different platform and you're just starting to post. When people look and they see that you only have a handful of subscribers, they tend to dismiss it because it's not popular. It's not like, oh, look at all these, this must be something of, because look at all these subscribers she has, or look at all these followers that this person has. And then they jump on too because they want to be a part of it. But when you don't have those numbers, yes, it's harder to get to that. But also remember that some of the people who are now big names or have lots of followers or subscribers or whatever, they started from zero too. If you go back and look at some of these accounts who have really large followings, these people have been doing what they've been doing for years. So just remember, you may be a bit of a baby in the game for some of you, and it's just going to take consistent work. Consistency usually is key, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Because remember, at the bottom of the deck here you have Creature of Earth. It says take charge, and this is the Knight of Pentacles, and that's what the Knight of Pentacles is. It's steady progress forward. And you see what they're doing in the background? They're tilling the earth, they're planting seeds, and it's going to take time. The key is just not to give up. Okay, so I'm still focused on this top row here, and so let me just touch on a couple more things, and then we will move to this section here. So service as co-creation here, card number 9. My service, no matter how great or small, is a conscious act of co-creation with the world. And so again, I just want to reiterate, take your expectations out of it for the moment and know that you are offering something of value. Again, on the bottom of the deck we had, or what came out from the ancestor deck, we had the shaman and trust the path, and then we had the martyr, sacrifice and self-reflection. And so what I feel that you're being called to sacrifice is your ego and your expectations about the results that you feel that you should be getting at the moment with what you're doing. You're being called to sacrifice that and move forward anyway, offer your work anyway, and reflect on why you need that right now. Why are you wanting so bad for the acknowledgement and the recognition and the popularity, if that's the case for you? Because sometimes that can be a wound from childhood, or even a wound from past relationships. Not being seen, not being heard, feeling misunderstood. Maybe you didn't get the attention or the recognition or the affection within a familial unit or some type of relationship, okay? So where is that coming from? Where you're wanting, because this can move us into an energy of desperation. And we don't ever want to create from a place of desperation. I shared with the other group a story that recently happened to me where I was at my window and I happened to notice a group of guys outside. I was telling them that this story had value for them, but I feel like it has a different level of value for you guys. And so I was looking at my window and it was a group of guys. They were playing dice, right? So I live in the hood, just to give you some context. So these guys were across the street at this house and they were playing dice, and there was this little baby out there with them. She had to be around 1. She could barely walk. She was just pipping around, stumbling around. She definitely wasn't at an age where she can speak or anything like that. She had on some Pampers and an oversized t-shirt. And I think I saw there was a young lady, I don't know if that was her mother or not, but she was at the top of the stairs. She went inside, closed the door, left the little girl outside with this guy. At first he was holding her, and then he put her down, He was halfway scrolling on his phone and talking to the young lady at the top of the steps. When she went inside, some other guys came, and altogether was maybe about 5 of them out there. And once he put that little girl down, that was it. She was just stumbling around. None of those guys were paying any attention to her. There's a busy street where I live, and all she had to do was step off the curb, and if a car was in it, they speed down my street. And so I don't even want to think about what happened, but I was noticing that, oh my God, she's walking around. All of them had their back turned to her because they were facing the house, because they were throwing the dice up against the house or whatever. All of them were huddled up in a group, and all of their backs were turned to her. She was on the outside where the car was parked, and the street was right there, and she's just stumbling around, pipping around. And so I thought to myself, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to watch her, and if I see her moving towards the street, I'm gonna have to like yell out the window or something like that for them to get her. So I sat there, and like 5 minutes went by. None of them turned around to check on this little girl. Not once. And so I ended up I had to step away from the window because I had things to do. I couldn't just sit there. And I was also thinking to myself, this is not my child. This is not my responsibility. It's 5 grown-ass men out there. Why aren't they watching her? So what I ended up doing was I said a little prayer for her for protection, and I had to step away from the window and get my work done. But when I came back, I noticed that they were still playing dice, and at one point, one of them turned around, and when he turned around, she was right by his foot, and he did this swerve thing with his body to avoid touching her, but he never acknowledged her. He never checked on her, picked her up, nothing like that, spoke to her, nothing. He just swerved. It was like she was here, and he's walking, and walked around her and sat in the car and started scrolling on his phone. And I'm like, in the actual, what in the hell am I looking at here? And then the other young lady who was at the top of the steps, she never once came outside. I guess she felt like the child was safe with him or them. I don't know, but I say this story because when I was doing the reading for the first group, it gave me a feeling of a male figure or males neglecting their responsibility with a child. For this group, I am getting the feeling of some of the people in this group feeling on the outside of something, not being acknowledged, not being looked at, not being seen, and just not even being cared about at all. I feel like there's some people here who feel that way about their work, themselves, what they create, what they put out, just feeling like nothing's coming back in. They're not receiving any warmth. They're not being embraced by the community that they want to be embraced by. And I'm here to tell you, it's coming. It's there because, like I said, this card came out in the first group, and I'm keeping it for this group because it's Oshun of the ancestors, sacred lineage, belonging, and family. And I feel like this applies to you guys as well. It's there, but you got to keep going. Just keep going. And don't feel like you don't have any value or that you're not worthy or anything like that. And also try to be careful with the feeling of desperation and wanting to be acknowledged and seen. I get it. Ask me how I know. Ask me how. I'm a new channel. I'm a new reading channel. And at the time that I am posting this video, I have 1 subscriber. 1. And my videos have been getting a handful of views. So I know. I'm not just speaking out of my behind. I know what it's like. But I told myself that's okay because I feel like the readings that I offer contain a lot of value for those who end up clicking on it and watching it. Whether they thumbs up the video or not, whether they subscribe or not, they are receiving something of value, and I just have to keep going. I have to know that within myself. And as time goes on, I know that it will grow, but I don't want sympathy subscribers. That's why I don't complain in my videos like, no one's subscribing, and can you guys, because no one's the algorithm and da-da-da. No, I don't do that. I just market myself, tell them, hey, feel free to subscribe, leave a comment or whatever, and I leave it at that. But I post a video every Sunday. I try to stay consistent, but I'm very new, and I just feel like I'm not going to let that get me down or let that stop me because I know what it is. I know the things can be saturated and got all the ins and outs of this, but I'm just going to keep going, and I'm just going to be consistent. And remember, you have the trust the path here. So just keep going. Sacrifice your ego. Remember what you're doing. Remember the bigger picture. Okay. And so one last thing for this top part. On the bottom of this deck, again, you have the creature of earth. Take charge. I feel like there are practical things that you can do in the meantime while things are working beneath the soil. So continue to put yourself out there. Continue to market yourself. Continue to get clear about what it is you're doing, why you're doing it, and how you're going to offer it. Think of yourself as your target audience or your target consumer, or for whatever it is that you're doing, and put yourself in their place and think about the titles that you use. Would it cause you to click? Would it pull you in? Think about how your thumbnails, or even if it's not YouTube that you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, whatever platform you're on, if you're creating art or anything like that, music or anything, if you were on the opposite end, if you were on the receiving end of that, is it something that you would want, right? In the way that you're presenting it now, is it something that you would want? Because I often do that sometimes with my thumbnails and my titles. I look at it and I think, would I click on this? Would I want this? And for me, it's yeah, I would. But then I also have to add in a little portion of it that's you still have to think about what others want. So you got to find a balance, and you do have the balance card here. So there may be some practical things that you can tweak. Just continue to learn, continue to grow, and continue to implement. Never ever feel like there's nothing more that you can learn, or that you know it all, or that you know everything, and that you are doing everything the right way. Continue to research and tweak things to work for you. And if you haven't been consistent, try that. Sometimes maybe the only reason why that thing isn't working is because you haven't been consistent with it. People don't know you. People, so you have to be consistent. And it's not just about consistency. You can be consistently putting out something that is not of value to anyone. So consistently put out work that has value for people. Consistently put out quality. Now, let's move on to this next row. So let me just, because I had points here that I written down, and I just want to make sure that I cover everything for you guys. So the next thing that I wanted to touch on was the feeling of persecution that some of you may have. In this bottom row, we have step out of your comfort zone. We have the Page of Wands, the Five of Swords, the Seven of Wands, the King of Swords, the Sun, and a win-win outcome is forecast. And so what I feel with this is that some of you may need to, there's a few things. Some of you may need to come out of your comfort zone in the sense that I'm looking at this as like, not just step out of your comfort zone, but out of the box. Step out of the typical box. You may be doing things the way you see everyone else do it. You may want to break off from that, because that may make it harder for people to see you or to look at you, because it's giving what everyone else is giving. It's just kind of like blending into the cookie cutter formula. So I'm not saying go out there and do the most and do the whole, oh, I'm different from everybody else. No, not like that. Just find your quirk. As a matter of fact, I don't even think it's something that you have to find, because it's naturally you. There's those little things about you that make you you. Don't erase that out of your work. Things that are your true self, don't omit those things and erase those things out of your work. Don't take your essence out of your work in order to move with the popular crowd, because you see that the popular crowd gets attention and results and a following. And because I feel like things are shifting on the internet, where more and more people are wanting to break off from the aesthetic and highly curated, and I think it still has its value and it will always have its people, but people are now getting tired of the over-filtered, just cookie cutter, just inauthentic. Now, yes, there are some people who you can come out and be your authentic self, and because they have an issue within themselves with seeing real things, because they've built up such a habit of looking at people with filters or looking at people who seem to have this perfect life. Yes, there will be people who look at you and cringe and think like, ew, why are you showing this, or why are you, there will be those people. But is what you do for them, are they who you want to bring in? So it's better that they look at you and cringe and go about their business than for you to draw those kind of people in. Because then if you draw those kind of people in, you will forever have to be catering to that. You will always have to be highly made up and highly done up, and everything has to be perfectly curated. And is that what you want? So step out of your comfort zone, step out of the typical box, step away from the cookie cutter, and tap into that thing that makes you you. So I'm also getting that there's some of you who may feel a sense of that you may be persecuted for your views or for your art or for your creations. Like persecuted in a, back in the day, right? We had the witch hunts, right? And I feel like today it's the same thing, but just different tactics. So the wise women back in the day who used to use herbs to heal and were tapped into energy and could heal things with energy and had prophetic dreams and would share those dreams, and then they would get persecuted for it because, oh, they're a witch, oh, they're this, that, blah, 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 blah. Nowadays, I feel like it's the same thing. If you are not part of one of the popular organized religions, such as Christianity or Catholics or whatever, and you put out content or work that does not fall in line with that, especially if you were born into or come from communities where those popular religious systems they're the norm, most people are a part of one of them. These type of things, especially like anything spiritual, anything dealing with energy work, anything where you're possibly using crystals, or even this, like doing readings, tarot, oracle, anything with frequency, anything talking about healing, or even goddess work and having an altar and those kind of things. You have maybe daily rituals that you do. These things tend to be demonized within certain cultures. I know, for instance, with the Black community, these things are demonized. If you ain't Christian, if you ain't, these things are highly resisted. And you will get told about it. You will get persecuted for it, like in a verbal way. People will look at you crazy, right? So I feel like some of you could be dealing with that, and you may have some apprehension about putting your work out there, for fear of people who are from those religious sectors finding you and maybe leaving you negative comments, or maybe you're afraid that people in your family may see what you do online and speak negatively about it, or look at you weird, or talk about you, or just tell you that you need to stop doing this and this is the devil's work and all this stuff. So I feel like there's some of you who may be dealing with that. The cards here are saying to stand your ground. The Five of Swords, this is people kind of coming at you, you know what I mean? This is a resistant energy. And then the Seven of Wands here is you standing on a hill with people waving their bats and their wands at you in an aggressive way, and you standing on a hill above them with your own wand and standing your ground against all of that. So I just want to take a moment to read something from the Five of Swords here in this deck. So it says, long-held beliefs may not be rooted in reality, refuse to go along with the crowd, and believe the threatened, oppressed ones. So I feel like that falls right in line. It says a spiritual crisis challenges long-held beliefs. These long-held beliefs can be yours and what you believe in a negative light, and then these long-held beliefs can be the long-held beliefs of others who project what they believe onto you. But you are being called to stand your ground here. You may also have some long-held beliefs in terms of what can work for you and what's possible for you. You may be holding on to negative beliefs that keep you from succeeding. You may be continuously telling yourself, oh, this field is oversaturated, and all these other negative things that keep you in a stuck energy, it's time to let those beliefs go. You got to make up your mind. You got to make a choice. Either you want to believe those negative things about your work, or you want to reassure yourself and reaffirm yourself that I have something of value. People want my work. I'm going to continue to move forward, and I'm going to move forward from my authentic self. Which one is it? Because if you are a spiritual creative, 9 times out of 10, you believe in energy. And if you do, why are you operating from an energy that does not serve you? From a thought process that does not serve you? And I know it's easier said than done, because we've conditioned ourselves into these negative thoughts, into these self-diminishing, self-sabotaging ways, habits, and thoughts. And so it takes some practice, it takes some time to work ourselves out of these beliefs. So don't beat yourself up. But when you notice it, automatically try to shift it. And get clear about what it is you do and why you do it, so that when naysayers and people who are resistant to what you do come to you and project onto you, you're not moved by it. You're not moved by it. You're not doubting yourself and thinking that, oh, maybe they're right. Stand your ground. And in order to do that, you have to believe in what it is you're doing and what it is you're offering. Give me 1 second. Look here. The 7 of Wands here, it says, answer the call of the ancients. So you may have some wisdom, some ancient knowledge, some understanding of some things, and you can share this with other people to help awaken them, or to help elevate them, to help them evolve within themselves, to help heal them, help them along their journey. Remember, here we have the shaman, trust the path. This is the Hierophant. The Hierophant is a teacher. So it says, answer the call of the ancients, seek vision from the ancestors. And then it says, take a stand for your whole authentic self. Let's take a look at this one too, the King of Swords here. Look at this. It says, adopt a story and pass it on. With pen, song, or brush, tell your story. What is remembered lives. So, absolutely, I feel like some of you are art painters, illustrators. You're just artistic creatives. Some of you are artistic in the form of creating videos, content, digital content, maybe even influencer type of content, but without the ick. But I feel that some of you may hold yourself back due to feeling like you're not part of the it crowd, or you're not an it girl, or you don't look the way the people who get all the views look. You don't present the way the people who get all the views present. You don't speak the way the people who get all the views and the clicks speak. Maybe you're a square. I know I'm a square. Maybe you're a square. Maybe you don't speak with all the typical slang and popular terms and stuff like that. Or maybe you do, and you come from a background where people spoke more proper or whatever. Maybe it's the opposite. But either way, I'm seeing here that you have something of great value to offer. And you need to share your story. And sharing your story can look so many different ways. You can share your story through your drawings, your paintings, your videos, your content, your products, your music, your dance, your storytelling, your reviews, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. But you're being called to do it from your authentic self. And we also have here on the bottom of the deck the Knight of Swords, and this is rapid movement forward with delivering the truth, delivering clarity. Some of you may have some things that you want to speak about that may be deemed controversial, but I see here that you are being called to speak up regardless. And just know that I think for some people in this group, you have to get over the fear of not being liked. And whatever message you have to share, say that shit from your chest, from your heart, from your womb. Let it come up and out. Express. You got to express. Some of you are being called to express. Your energy may be too closed into self, which also may be another reason why you're so focused on whether you'll be received. It's too closed. Your energy's too closed in on itself. Expand your energy outward. And so we have the Sun card here. And once you do this, this is what you have to look forward to. You want to look for results? Here it is, the Sun card. So, I'm sorry, my camera had overheated and cut off. So, picking back up, you have the Sun card. And I feel like this is a breakthrough for you. I also feel like you'll begin to gain visibility. And having it come out with the win-win outcome as forecast, I feel like you're finally going to have a breakthrough and gain visibility, and this will bring a healing to your situation. It'll bring about balance to your situation, because it seems like something was out of sorts, where possibly there may have been something where something wasn't being authentically expressed, and or maybe some long-held beliefs, like negative beliefs, self-sabotaging beliefs, were holding you back. But once you come to this clarity, it brings about some kind of a breakthrough and light being able to be shown onto you and your work and what you have to offer. And it brings about a healing in the form of balance to your career or your spiritual work. Okay. And just a word about this King of Swords card here. The herb on this card is rosemary, and this makes me feel like there is some sort of clearing of congestion or stagnation within your work and what you put out into the world. There was some kind of a block there, and once you deliver your truth or show your truth, it cuts through something. This King of Swords, this rosemary, cuts through something. It cuts through some kind of blockage or stagnation that was there. And it brings about a healing for yourself and for the people you are wanting to reach, who will be able to see you now. It brings some form of clarity to you and to others. It'll open up some pathways, just like how rosemary opens up the pathways and you can breathe better. I feel like that's what this is doing. That's what this energy is doing for your situation. This step out of your comfort zone card, I feel like for some of you, this is step out of that fear of being seen and possibly being rejected or persecuted. I just want to touch on something here with this, especially for those whose work is more so in the spiritual field. Let's say, for instance, maybe you want to do card reading, or it's something else that pertains to spirituality, right? Something that people would consider woo-woo. If you are going back and forth within yourself about this being wrong, or people misunderstanding you, or people demonizing you, or people shaking their finger at you because this is not of the church or whatever religious sector they belong to, or that you may have grown up in, or that your community tends to gravitate towards, I want you to just think about something. In the church, in every organized religious institution, there are people who are really of that faith and want to do good, and they spread good and healing to others. And then there are people who are quite nasty, and they bring harm to people through those religions and through those religious organizations. How many times have we seen the stories of the pastors in the church and things that they were doing behind closed doors, or the congregation and things that really awful ways that they've had? How many times have we heard about the people who go into church and they were judged or looked down on by the congregation? And these are not ways in which Christ or any spiritual prophet or teacher or leader would behave, right? And then you have within the spiritual community or the woo-woo community, where these things that are said to be demonic and demonized bring clarity and light and love and healing to people who come in contact with it. And then there are people within the spiritual community who use these tactics and readings and all of these things and modalities to bring harm to people and use it to serve themselves. So my point is, it's not about the modality or the religion or the spirituality. It's about the people and what's in the minds and hearts of people and their intentions. It's about your intentions. What intention are you bringing to this craft, or what you choose to do and the work that you put out into the world? What are your intentions? So it doesn't matter whether it's from the church or the spiritual community with somebody holding a crystal. What is that person's intentions? What are your intentions? And I also want to remind you to have patience with all of this. Again, you might be planting a tree. So have patience. On the bottom of the deck, remember you have the creature of earth. This is the Knight of Pentacles. This is a very slow moving energy, but it's worth it. So just have patience. Again, like I said, they're planting seeds in the ground. Those seeds are not going to sprout overnight. They're not even going to sprout probably within the month. Well, depending on what seed it is. But if it's a tree, it sure as hell ain't sprouting up no time soon. So just have patience. You also have another card of patience here. Power and healing. To get what you love, you first have to be patient with what you have. So you may not have the community or the rallying or the recognition or all of that you may want right now. And what you're doing may be small right now, but be patient with it. Just be patient with it and keep moving forward, one foot in front of the other. Consistency. This is also a card of patience here, the Martyr, which is the Hanged Man. This is another card that can signify patience. You're hanging, laying in wait, upside down, and waiting for divine enlightenment. So, for your next move to make. So this is also another card of patience. And every seed, if we're talking about planting seeds, a seed, what is a seed? A seed is something that holds the potential of something to be. So a seed signifies potential. And once you plant that in the earth, there are so many factors that take place to get to the blossoming of whatever that seed holds. And as a matter of fact, right underneath this creature of earth, you have Boo Boo the Fool card, which is the Fool card. And underneath it says possibilities and potential. So I think you're just in the beginning stages, even though you may feel like it's taking forever, but just take a breath and allow things to unfold. And as a matter of fact, right here, look at this. It literally says, take a deep, gentle breath and thank whatever has moved you out of balance. And here you have the balance, the scales. And remember I said that this rosemary energy was moving a blockage or moving something out of the way. And it literally says that right here. Take a deep, gentle breath and thank whatever has moved you out of balance. So remember on this Martyr card, it says sacrifice and self-reflection. So some form of self-reflection, something that you will come to realize, again here with the long-held beliefs about something. Once you see the clarity in that, you'll begin to move forward and have your breakthrough here with the Sun and your win-win outcome. All right. And I also feel that for some of you, you may have a natural humor to you. And that may be something that you want to infuse into your work, into what you do. If you're trying to play stoic and serious, or you're taking yourself too seriously, find a way to lighten the energy, lighten it up. That may be more inviting to people for some of you, depending on what you do, right? Add a bit of playfulness to it. This right here, the Page of Wands, this is a youthful, playful energy. This is a new energy. This is more of a childlike energy. This is a beginner energy. If you see here, this is a child's hand, and she's playing with looks like a carnelian crystal ball, and she has poppies all over the table and cards all over the table and seeds, and she has a mortar and pestle, and she has a little stuffed toy right there. And it's just like she's in her element. She's just in her own little world, just creating and having fun. So get back to creating for the fun of it, for the joy that it brings you, for the pleasure that it brings you, instead of focusing on the analytics and the numbers and how many subscribers and how many people follow you and how many views you get. Just create out of joy and put it out there, and then move on to the next thing. Just do it because it feels good. People will begin to find your work and pick up and feel on the joy and pleasure that you have just from sharing with them. People will be able to tell that you enjoy what you do, and therefore they will enjoy it. And even if they don't, so what? They move on and you move on. I also feel like there's a sense of intuition. You need to follow your intuition on the next steps to take. So I feel like some form of inspiration, you're going to receive some form of inspiration. And when you do, act on it. And it will bring you here. Don't ignore your intuition. Just because it doesn't fall in line with the popular thing or anything like that, doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. When you get a download and it feels a certain way to you, do it. Make that move. And when you do this, I feel like eventually you will call in your group, your family of light. You will call them in. And just in the meantime, I feel like just keep creating and give your people some time to find you. Just give them some time to find you. Just keep creating and give people time to find you. And when they come, they will embrace you. Because remember, here we have the domestic happiness and devoted affection. I will wind thee in my arms. That's what I feel. I feel like when they come, they will embrace you. And remember, you also have the Oshun of the ancestors, sacred lineage, belonging, and family. You're moving into this energy. And your spirit team and your guides and your ancestors are working behind the scenes to see that this happens. But they want the right people to come in for you. So don't force anything. And don't do anything that's going to mess up the work that they're doing behind the scenes. Okay? So, and a quick word to some of you who, I know there's like this whole thing of, oh, be your authentic self, and that's the key, and yada yada, and that's what people want to see, that people want to see more authenticity. Yes, to a certain degree, but I also feel like for those of you who like things to look a certain way and are more into the aesthetics, and maybe your content or whatever you do is a little bit more curated, and what you put out to the world, you like to curate things, you like to have a certain aesthetic to things, maybe you like the more polished things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You can have both. Did you ever think about that? You can have both. You can have authenticity and deliver your authenticity in a way that's appealing to the eye. So if you're more drawn to a beautiful aesthetic, do that, but remember to keep your essence and your individuality within that aesthetic. Don't erase your humanity. Don't edit out your human side. Keep some of the little faux pas in there. Keep some of the little mishaps and the mistakes that you make. Keep some of that in there. You can have both within your content or within whatever it is, your art, your craft, whatever you do. Don't sanitize it so much that it feels sterile to people or feels fake to people. Keep some of the mishaps in there. Keep your human self in your aesthetic. So if you like things looking nice and all that stuff and organized, and that's fine. I feel like you can keep that. Just make sure not to sanitize yourself out of it. Remember to be a little playful in it. Show them the mistakes and the mishaps and whatnot. I think that is all that I'm getting for this reading. Let's go ahead and I promised I was gonna pull you a fresh card because this one was from the previous group, even though I still feel like it pertains to you guys. But let's go ahead and pull you guys your own card. And just a little reminder, I post a pick a card reading every Sunday. My channel focuses on the divine feminine, and I post a pick a card every Sunday. And I also post a little mini pick a card to my community tab during the middle of the week. So maybe Wednesdays, I post to my community tab, and you can just go in there and pick your message for the day. All right, so what is the final message for this group of creatives who have come to this reading today? What is the final message in divine love? This final message for this group of creatives. There we go. Let's see. Look how pretty this card is. So you have card number 31, Oshun of Soft Power. It says influence, openness, emotional intelligence. So I think some of you do want to be influencers. And look at it. This is very aesthetic. Very aesthetic. That's very pretty. Influence, openness, emotional intelligence. So some of you are influencers. Some of you have a very significant influence on people or have the potential to. Openness, again, I just feel like that's part of being your authentic self. There's a level of vulnerability that comes with being open, right? And then emotional intelligence. Everybody's not going to feel what you do. Everybody's not going to feel what you bring. But are you going to let that make you shrink to the back and give up and feel like woe is me? And no, you have to have some emotional intelligence and be able to stay in. You see how she's sitting in her power in the midst of naysayers and projectors, and look at that's gorgeous. And even with her just sitting in her power, here comes the bees. Look at the energy, all this stuff swarming around her. She's creating. You can see that she's creating. The energy is moving just with her sitting in her soft power. And with the card number 31, number 3 is a number of expansion, expression, and creativity. Number 3 is a number of creativity. And then number 1 is a number of power. It's a number of self. So I don't know what more to tell you. Creative power within oneself. And this is what you create when you sit in that soft power. You don't have to force anyone and try to convince anyone to subscribe to you or to follow you or respond to you or give you feedback. Just be, have patience, stay on your pedestal, and allow everything to come to you. And even look here in this belonging and family card, and you want to talk about attracting your group and your people. Look at all the coins falling around her, and the honey flowing around her, and the smile on her face. She looks content. They both look content. But both of these cards give manifestation without doing things that you don't want to do. It just happens. So that's your closing card for this group. Oshun of soft power, influence, openness, emotional intelligence. All right. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you received something of value from this reading. If you have, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. And if you choose to, go ahead and subscribe. If not, I will see you the next time the algorithm shows you one of my videos. And I love you guys. Thank you so much. This reading was very powerful, and it was a pleasure to deliver it. So I'm looking forward to doing these monthly general readings in the future. So thank you guys, and I will see you in another reading. Bye bye.